4 days ago, we began with the following question.
Dear Greg, my 6-year-old and my 8-year-old fight with each other all the time. They argue about everything, and pretty often their arguments degenerate into hitting. I've told them to stop it a million times, yelled at them, and punished them, but they're still hitting each other whenever they get the chance. How do I stop this? It's making me crazy.
We established that your children's behavior is a result of their not feeling loved unconditionally, and we agreed that your yelling at them certainly isn't working. The first step in the solution is your getting enough real love in your own life, after which it will be possible for you to begin to eliminate disappointment and anger from your communications with them. That is absolutely critical. Now, in the meantime, what can you actually say to them? What can you teach them about their fighting? Without the principles of real love, stopping arguments between children becomes an endless manipulation. But now you understand those principles, so you're going to find it a piece of cake to finally bring peace into your household. Nice, huh? First, I suggest that you read the book, Real Love and Parenting, especially Chapter 8. But right now we'll cover many of those principles. So, there you are. You're coming into the room, and those two kids are fighting with each other again. Those angry tones of voice, terrible expressions on their faces. It's really an ugly scene over and over, isn't it? You have an urge to tell them to stop it. That's natural. You're sick of them acting like this. But we've talked about that. That approach will never teach them anything except to temporarily modify their behavior to please you. That's worthless. You want to go for the gold, to help them understand true principles with which they can change the rest of their lives. So, you say something like this, and keep in mind that this is just one of many possible approaches. In the Real Love and Parenting book, and in many subsequent video mails, you'll find lots of ways to teach your children this and other principles. Now, back to what you say. And in this case, I'll take your part in the interaction, the role of the parent as I interact with your children. So, I'm you, and I'm talking to your children. So, I say to your children, you two look pretty mad. Now notice, I'm focusing on what's important. Your children's anger, a protecting behavior that is telling us that they feel empty and afraid. That's what matters. Of course, they come back with the faults of the other person. The 8-year-old says, he took my whatever. And the 6-year-old says, but he hit me. Boring, huh? How many times have we heard these arguments? I could stand there and talk about whose fault it is for eternity, and where would we get? The blaming thing never goes anywhere, ever. But we keep doing it, partly out of habit, and mostly because it gives us a rush of power that feels pretty good in the absence of real love. But we're not going to fall into that blaming trap here. So, I say to the 8-year-old, have I ever yelled at you? Yeah, he says, because of course I'm playing your part, and you yell at him a lot. And when I'm yelling at you and being mean to you, how do you feel? 8-year-olds usually aren't real articulate when it comes to expressing their feelings. So I might get only a shrug or a look at the floor. I'm going to have to help this child. When I'm yelling and mean, you don't like it, do you? No, he says. Do you feel like I love you when I'm yelling at you and being mean toward you? Of course, he shakes his head and says, no. Well, of course not. In fact, when I'm yelling at you, when I'm angry, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about me. When I'm angry, I'm thinking about what I want and what I didn't get. I'm thinking of myself. I'm not thinking about your happiness. I'm not being loving. When I act like that, what you hear me saying is, I don't love you. And you're right. When I act like that, I'm not being loving. That's no fun for you, is it? And I'm sad that I've made you feel bad when I've been angry all those times in your life. You think I might have the child's attention now, or what? He's never heard talk like this in his entire life. Contrary to our common assumption, they are not retarded. Our children are not stupid. They really do have a sense of what is true. If I tell him that when I'm angry, I'm not being loving, he will understand it. He won't hate me. That's what parents worry about. In fact, he will feel closer to me, a lot closer. Kids love the truth. So, I keep going. I say to him, so if you hear me say, I don't love you, when I'm angry, what do you think your brother hears when you're angry at him? Now, at this point, the 8-year-old will almost certainly try to justify his anger. He'll say something like, but I don't want to get it caught up in meaningless details, but I don't want to ignore the child either. So I say, I'm sure your brother was doing just what you say. I don't doubt it a bit. In fact, in a few minutes, we'll take him out back and stick a fork in his leg. But right now, let's look at what you could do differently. When I came in here, were you being loving or were you being angry toward your brother? Which? You only get to pick one. Eventually, he'll see that he was being unloving and that his brother heard him say, I don't love you. Then I'll help him see that when we hear I don't love you from someone, we don't respond well. We protect ourselves. We get angry in return, which of course means that we say I don't love you right back. And then it all goes straight down the toilet. Kids really understand this. I do not need to tell children to stop arguing. I just need to help them see exactly what they're doing with each other. Most important, though, they will feel my acceptance of them as I'm talking with no disappointment or irritation, whatever. It's our anger, our I don't love yous that they react to badly. When I love them, though, the difference is huge. Really, it's amazing. I'll have a similar conversation then with the other brother, and then I'll suggest that with what they just learned, they try to work out their problem again. It's incredible what they can do with just a little knowledge and a lot of love. Now, I might have to come back and give them a little bit of help. I might not. Love your children. Teach them. Then love and teach them again. The results are miraculous. Remember, it's always about real love.